Welcome to Arsenal Above All, off the back of a tough, gritty win against Crystal Palace on Monday Night Football, to the disappointment of the Chuckle Brothers in the studio and the new guest that they've got there. I've been a bit, what's the word? I've been a bit adventurous in the transfer market. I've got a new trialist today making his debut. They say if you're old enough, you're good enough, and I've got Mr. Melvyn. The only way he's Arsenal Marks making his debut tonight, Melvyn, and I've got obviously the old veteran of Arsenal Above All. So I'm going from youth to experience, not age experience. Neil Shah with me tonight to discuss the fallout of that game, and we all know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the brilliant officiating again, which we've experienced, and no apology yet, but maybe that's on the way. But all what's left to say is let's go. Welcome to the show, Melvyn. Thank you very much for joining. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, fine, thank you. I'm really looking forward to this, but I'm so glad we didn't do it straight after the match or last night, because I was spitting feathers. I've calmed down a bit now, and I'm not one to get too excited. But during the game, after the game, and yesterday, I was like, inconsolable. And we won. That's a strange thing. I mean, had we got beat or drawn, I don't know what I would have done. But no, brilliant. Thanks for inviting me on.
It's great to have you on. It's been too long, and I've also got the main man, the fixer, Neil Shah. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you. And Melvyn, it's so great to see you on this finally. It's a pleasure to have Melvyn, the man, here. It's amazing. Yeah, and legend. Michael, as always, thank you so much for having me on.
No, always a pleasure, man. But so let's kick off. But so we obviously got a battling win against Crystal Palace, and looked fairly in control, obviously, as it was up until the situation that we're really going to talk about, which it was the officiating, which led to Tomiyasu's dismissal. Melvyn, I'll come to you because for me, this new directive of time wasting and timekeeping that the PGMOL spoke about at the start of the season is fine. Okay, that's great. We know who the culprits were last season. A lot of them were at the Emirates, and we all know who they are. And we thought, okay, great. But it's like, if you're gonna add time to the two games, 30 seconds, so it builds up and builds up. Then if you're does that mean you still need to book someone if that time's going to get added on? Now the whole situation with Tomiyasu is like, he held the ball for 8 seconds. Havertz held it for 15. So he maybe should have been the one that should have got penalised. When is that line when it says, is it game management? Or is it time wasting? Because for me, we've seen it last season. Arsenal have gone through periods where they've scored a goal and they've tried to manage the game by maybe taking a little bit of time. Someone's gone down for an injury. We've seen it. Maybe they could have done that this time. But for me, it's like they've got this directive of, we're going to clamp down on time wasting. But at the same time, we're still going to clamp down on attempts at time wasting, even though you're going to add that time on anyway. I mean, what was your thoughts of that whole situation? And the key thing, the lack of inconsistency, that just seems to always be around the whole refereeing organisation.
Well, you want to see consistency in the officials, and you look at one game, see how they officiate, and then another game, say, "Oh, that's so inconsistent." the referee in our own game was inconsistent within the game.
Yeah,
with the bookings when he should have booked Ayew, and then funnily enough, the guy that got allegedly fouled was Ayew and got our guy sent off. It's so frustrating. We've seen it over the years. We've seen it. We know that our ceiling for getting booked or sent off is much lower than any other club. Much lower. It's different rules, different levels. And I was shouting at Tommy to get rid of the ball, not because I was counting. It's just in your mind. I heard the crowd going mad, and I know that the player before held the ball for a little bit too long, messing around. He may not have been. He may not know what to do with it. Threw it to him. I thought, come on, you've got to hurry up here. And when he got booked, I was completely blaming the player because I didn't realise it was only 8 seconds. In my mind, with the crowd and what was going on, I thought it was a much longer. So I was annoyed with him with that. When I found out it was only 8 seconds, I went, what? And then again, how can you add up? I've heard of taking one for the team, but that's when you bring someone down to stop the other team scoring. You don't take one for the team because 3 other players have done a foul, so you don't do anything and you get booked. Yeah. I've never heard of that before. Does that matter if you do a half a foul and another player does half a foul? Yeah. That the referee's got to decide, oh, you've got to get the yellow card because there's 2 half fouls on that footballer. You can't do it like that. I mean, they're making it harder and harder, the referees themselves. They're not the brightest of people at the best of times. So why try and make it harder for yourself? You know, I used to think that referees were either inconsistent or slightly dishonest. I wouldn't dare say that now. I just think they're dishonest.
Yeah. I think there's too much of a coincidence that we've seen something like this happen too many times. You know, we are just, like you said on the show yesterday, Melvyn, we are ref differently than anyone else. And I don't care what anyone says. You know, people say we're paranoid or what have you. You know, we saw what happened with Arteta at the start of the season in the Community Shield. He gets booked straight away. Guardiola, there's multiple times where he's outside his technical area, and you're told that's a cautionable offence. Nothing happened. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I just add on to the booking? The referee couldn't wait to get the card out of his pocket. He could not wait. What they should have done is issued that ref with a paddle from Strictly Come Dancing. You know, where they put their numbers up. I think he'd have been happier with that. A big red one of those. And I think that would have made the referee's night, actually.
Yeah. Neil, I've got some other bits. But what was your thoughts on that as well? Because I was like Melvyn as well. I was watching it at home with the wife. And after we went 1-0 up, we had that incident in the corner where Partey was taking ages to get the ball. And I said to her at the time, look, what are we doing? We're slowing the game down. There's loads of time left. We don't need to be doing this. Just keep playing because Palace are going to come out and we should be able to do something on the break. And I said to her, this is going to cost us. If we're going to mess around, it's going to cost us. And then when Tomiyasu got the second yellow, she looked at me and like, so bloody hell, you know, you said that. And I said, yeah, but what was your thoughts on that? You know, it's so infuriating to see this again. You know, see us being being the victims of this sort of decision making or whatever you want to call it.
I see many things with this. I feel that we're the scapegoats continuously. I feel, there's a letter of the law now about time wasting, as you described right at the top of the show, and mainly, you know, that in a weird way that should be in our favour because they were doing it to us last season, so many different teams. And then I see the inconsistencies, and I feel that Tommy was so unlucky with both cards, not just the time wasting one. The time wasting one, it wasn't just Havertz that held the ball. Initially, it was Rice. So Rice, Havertz, and then Tommy. And bless Tommy, he actually didn't have anyone to throw the ball to. He was looking around. There was no one there to throw it to. So what can he do? What was he supposed to do anyway? And you make a good point that if we're going to have time added on anyway, why are you making a booking for that? Okay, put that aside. Then you look at the second yellow. I mean, the guy didn't even... I mean, I don't even think... He just flicked his shirt. I don't even think he pulled it. And it was as much as a surprise to Tommy that, as well as everyone else watching. And you just feel that why, you know, people keep dismissing this agenda, shall we say, against the club, or this conspiracy against the club. But when it keeps happening time and time again, and then when you see it not happening the same instance, maybe even worse case scenarios to other clubs, and them nothing being given and nothing being done about it, you can't help but feel that, hang on a minute, is there something against our team? Really, is there not? And it really, and the worst thing is, it could have affected us. You know, we were down to 10 men with 30 minutes to go against a very good side at a very oppressive stadium. And if their finishing was better, I know we played brilliantly defensively, but if their finishing was better, it would have cost us. Because I'm sure with 11 men, we would have done, as you said, you know, go on to win. But I find it hard as well. On the other side of the coin, it's very unlike Arsenal to do this, because we've always been a team that want to score goals, whether we're losing, whether we're winning. When Wenger came in, his philosophy was to go and score goals. It wasn't to waste time and take the ball to the corner flag. That rarely happened with us. We always wanted, even we used to say as fans, don't run to the corner flag. What are you doing? Don't keep the ball in play. You might lose it and it will cost us. I found that really strange. I don't know what you boys thought about that, but I it's very Arsenal-like, unless it's the kind of strategy that Arteta has to employ now to make sure whatever happens, we get some kind of results. But I find it very weird that this is happening. It didn't make any sense to me. So I think it's very unfair overall what happened. Very unfair.
We are potentially, Neil, the best football team in the league, and with controlling the ball like Manchester City do. There's us two are ahead of any other of the clubs in the league. So why do we have to go down to those tactics? Well, we have to do, if you want to waste time or control the game management, hold the ball, give it sideways, play a little bit boring for 10 minutes, just frustrate the other team. You don't have to make it obvious. What we did, I thought, was naive of Partey.
Yeah, it was too obvious.
He put a big sign up, I'm wasting time. Yeah. And I'm afraid Tommy got the booking because of that. Be a bit cleverer. I don't think you'll see a Manchester City player doing that. I think you get a rucking from the manager. And just going back to, say, other players, if Rodri would have done exactly the same thing as Tommy, he would have probably got a gold star and not a yellow one, because Rodri gets away with murder. So talk about standards, different. It's not a level playing field. No matter how much they mow the lawn, it's not a level playing field.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's funny that when a player does something or makes a mistake, or if a player gets too emotional, they make a mistake, and we can blame it on that. And I think it's quite obvious that referees get too emotionally involved in games, because that's exactly what happened against Paris. Because you could see, one of the things there's so many games we've watched, obviously, between the three of us, and we saw it last season at Anfield. You go 2-0 up, and you're cruising, you're playing really well. What's the one thing you don't do? You don't do anything that's going to give the opposition and the fans energy. You don't do anything, whether that's taking a mick with a doing a silly trick or something like that, or putting in a really over the top tackle which gets the crowd up. You don't do anything like that to tip it off, because then the referee, who's already given a penalty to the away team against the home team in a big game, he's already thinking, I've got to try and level this up here, because that's the human nature. That's what he wants to do. But yet we kind of, like you said, naively got that out of them. You saw the fans' reaction as soon as that happened, and we kind of played into their hands. We did it again. Obviously, we did it at Anfield. And I think referees, they get emotionally involved, and but the excuse is, they're human. But what's the answer? What do you what is the answer if stuff like that happens? I don't know, but I think we were a little bit naive. Taking time to do stuff. I can understand it's game management or trying to do it, but we just laid it on a bit too thick, and there was loads of time. Do that in the last 5 or 10 minutes, maybe. We still have 20 odd minutes to go, and it just didn't make any sense, really. But go ahead, Bob.
What I thought was what you say about, I think the referee was definitely influenced by the crowd, the Palace crowd, 100%. Why don't we ever get referees at home games influenced by our crowd, and we're screaming and shouting against the Newcastles of this world, or the Burnleys of this crowd.
Yeah.
When they're or the goalkeepers are taking half an hour to kick, it feels like half an hour to kick the ball. Absolutely, you know they're taking the mickey. The crowd's going mad. 60,000 or 55,000 Arsenal supporters are giving it, what's going on, shouting and screaming. The ref is turned a blind eye. You get 20,000 Palace supporters doing it, and all of a sudden the referee's like, oh, what's going on here? It's madness. It's like baggy trousers. It's horrible. Horrible.
What would
look at that great stat you got on the ticker tape. Unbelievable. It just sums it up, doesn't it? It just sums it up.
Yeah.
I just feel that refs, I think you touched on it, refs want to make a name for themselves, especially when they play us. I don't know why. It's because we seem to be in the spotlight a lot for this. So then this is the best choice or the best game and best platform for them to make a name for themselves. I really feel that. And I don't care if people shoot me down and say, don't be stupid. It's just refereeing incompetence. It's not incompetence. Some of it's too obvious to be incompetence. It really is.
It could be, Neil. It could be. Is there get out of jail card saying, well, it's not bias, it's unconscious bias? They use that. I don't believe that. They could actually use that one.
It's a big thing now, Melvyn, unconscious bias. So yeah, they could use that.
Yeah, they might use that. It's a nice little headline, isn't it? Listen, you're biased, you're biased.
Yeah, I think as well, obviously, then that leads into the second yellow, which is obviously the key one. I mean, so many things about that. Obviously, AU did something even worse, or different, worse a foul. It's such a word on Saka, and pulls him back. Oh, nothing. Just play on. Apparently, he was going to get his card out, and then he realised, oh, I booked him already, and then he sort of put his cards back in. But that was a worse foul. We can see, you can see what it is. That's a shirt pull. As for the Tomiyasu one, I mean, it's funny that the only camera view we kind of got was the one where it showed that he didn't really hug the shirt. He kind of brushed it. His hand was rested against the back of it. And for me, there's this thing. Obviously, you can't appeal second yellow card if someone's been sent off. But I was thinking, why is that? Why not? If something is that significant, which it changed, which tilted the whole thing of the game. We were up there, and then it just went like that in Palace's favour because of the pressure they were putting on. I don't understand why, with the technology we've got with VAR and what have you, why can't teams challenge that if it led to a red card? Because why would the referee want to influence the game that much for something that he can't really say that he saw with absolute certainty that he saw him pull his shirt? I just think they need to be smarter. They're making things harder for themselves. PGMOL, Howard Webb's, appearing on Monday Night Football, which is basically Howard Webb TV. With the two Muppets there. Talking about how Tomiyasu deserved to go and all that stuff, and basically saying they didn't do anything wrong. The referee didn't do anything wrong. But I don't understand how he comes on last season, talks about how great they are and the communication they are. Oh, look at how we got to this decision, and and I'm thinking, oh great, you're showing the good stuff, but I want to see the audio that you had when we played Southampton away and we didn't get 2 penalties, and Saka got taken out, and Jesus got taken out as well. I want to see the audio from the Brentford game when Lee Mason decided not to draw the lines. Show me the audio. Let's hear the audio for that. Why are you showing that? Yeah, there's no transparency, and where there's no transparency, there's ways for corruption or whatever you want to call it, man. I just think they need to change that rule where if a second yellow, you should be able to challenge it, and whether that means there and then, I still think retrospectively you should be able to challenge that, because that means that that player, if it was a bad decision or wrong decision, then at least he's going to be available for the next game. We still, Tomiyasu is still, not going to be able to play. So, well, what's your thoughts on that, Neil? I mean, is there ways of them just doing simple little changes like that, which just makes it a little bit easier? Even so much. I mean, I said to you in the WhatsApp chat. When we were passing a lot in the first half, I said, "Oh, I wish there was a shot clock like in basketball. Like if you have possession, you've got to have a shot within 24 seconds." But what it might be silly, it might sound silly, but in this instance, if they're going to be like this for throw-ins, and they have it in snooker, they have a shot clock in snooker. They've only introduced that recently. What if there's a clock on the side of the pitch, and the player can see, all right, look, shit, 12 seconds. I've got to throw this ball in. It might sound silly, but then that kind of speeds the game up. Then you won't have any situations like that. I don't know. What do you think, Neil?
I thought you were going to Melvyn. Sorry, threw me off there.
Sorry.
I don't know what the answer is. I just feel that number one. If we talk about the yellow card, I'm sorry, I mentioned it earlier. I probably just jumped the gun a bit. But even Roy Hodgson said it in his interview. Did you see? He was quite fair, actually. He said if that had been us, we would have been really disappointed. He didn't want to say too much to sort of like against the referee, but he was quite indirectly saying exactly what we're thinking now on this podcast. He was saying that was very unfortunate, and even kind of laughed off this rule about why he got a yellow for the ball throwing. It was, and I respected that from him. So a veteran manager like him on the opposition side, where they've lost, is almost battling our corner in a way. And I think that sums it up. That there is something intrinsically wrong here. And I don't think it's the answer. You had all the people on Sky Sports saying it was a great decision, blah, blah, blah. And I feel that, how is that a great decision? Where are you getting that from? I mean, look at that lovely picture you just showed. He's almost trying to iron Saka's shirt. He's pulling it, trying to get the 7 nice, and he's got one end and here, one end there. And, look at that. And nothing. And yet Tomiyasu almost like does a feather touch. And he's got a yellow and like Melvyn said, literally couldn't wait to give him the yellow. So what can be done? I thought, guys, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I've mentioned this before last season. I thought there was supposed to be some kind of review for referees after a game. And then if they've made a blatant mistake, that they should be thrown in the sin bin or miss matches, just like players miss matches. What happened to that? And, Michael, you said off air before, I think we started recording, you were saying that we got 4 apologies last season. So we got the apology. What happened to the ref? Which those 4 apologies could have meant the difference between us lifting the title and not.
Yeah.
It's massive. So you explain to me, why is nothing being done to the referees? That is my problem. I think we have to go to the root of the problem. There's many, I think, your ideas are good, the ones of having to stop clock and so I don't know if it will work in football. It might do, it might not. But I think we've got to go to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is this inconsistency from referees, and it should be a level playing field, unless it's such a real touch and go situation that you can't blame the ref either way. That's different.
Yeah.
But this is ridiculous. Just livid with it. Livid.
Was you going to say, Melvyn?
Right. First of all, the Saka situation when he was being pulled, what you didn't show there, go it on half a second, he actually finished up pushing him in the back down to the floor. So it wasn't just that, it was a double event. That's number one. Number two, yes, Michael, it's very important that the player can play the next game like Tommy. But that's not the real problem. The problem is we didn't have 11 men on the pitch. You can't get that back. That's more of a problem. So even if they give us Tommy back for Saturday, not that they will, or they can't anyway, but say they did, big deal. Well, he's probably not going to play anyway, with Zinchenko, I believe, coming back to fitness. And the referee, they say, can only give a decision of what he sees. What did he see with Tommy? He didn't see it, obviously, because it didn't exist, right? He didn't see him push him or grab his shirt because it didn't exist. So why did he give that decision? You cannot make a case for him. If you had him on television and go, right, why did you make that decision, by the way? He can't say, I thought. You've got to a ref, you've got to be able to see. Right. And what was the linesman doing? He was over that side as well, wasn't he? Near the incident, I believe.
Yeah.
What was his game? It was just unbelievable. And You're saying what can we do? Why you're saying, Neil, that won't a referee get suspended for a game or not? I reckon they could be so corrupt, the PGML or whatever it's called. I reckon they probably give them a rise.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Can I just say
PGMOL, isn't it? PGMOL.
Something stupid. The thing about the second,
I didn't realise. Sorry, Neil. I didn't realise there's any gay football, any gay referees. PGMOL. I didn't realise, but good luck to them. I don't care.
I can't understand this decision that you can't review a first yellow. Of course you can't. That's absurd.
No,
but a second yellow, which is dicey, why can't it be reviewed? And you're saying, Melvyn, quite rightly, because it's the fact. We're in a fortunate situation this weekend because it looks like Zinchenko's going to come back in, and that might change the formation to more, a more traditional look because Zinchenko's back playing the inverted role. But what if Zinchenko wasn't fit? And what if we were depleted and then we lost Tommy over a ridiculous decision like that? Then what? Then we'd have to have a makeshift defence against potentially a very important game. It could have been the game against Man City that decided the title, couldn't it? It's ridiculous. And they need to change the rule that the second yellow in a dicey situation needs to be reviewed. It's not on.
Yeah, I think, I said before, you've got to look at other sports and see what they're doing and try and implement that or what's working and what's good. I mean, they've done that with rugby, obviously, with the technology they have, the communication they have, and that's more transparent because you can hear it as it's going on. Say with the cricket, when they review someone that's out, key point is what are the key points in a football match when a goal's scored and when there's an offence like a red card offence. And we know when a goal is scored, especially when an Arsenal goal is scored, they review it to hell. They review it for 5 minutes just to make sure, do we really have to give this goal, even when it's clear cut? And sending off, whether that's a straight red or whether that's a red from a second yellow, that needs to be reviewed all different angles just to make sure that is legit, because it makes such a massive impact on a game, not only for the team that's maybe ahead or behind, but for the watching audience. A game that could be really good. How many times we watched a really great game, a referee sends someone off when he shouldn't have been sent off, and the game's just absolutely just killed. On an entertainment aspect. But we're obviously looking at it, we're 1-0 up, and we could have easily drew that game. We could have easily lost that game. If it weren't for a proper rearguard action at the end. But yeah, that's what I just think they need to kind of stop living. They're trying to move forward with innovation and stuff, but they still keep getting leaving themselves behind in the past by not being able to review or appeal a second yellow. I don't get that, because it leads to the same thing. It leads to the same outcome. It's a red card. So why can't you? Why can't you appeal it, or even appeal the first one? It could have been the other way around. Even if it was the other way around, you could have said, "Okay, well, we want to appeal the first one because you don't think that was a." You know what I mean? Because it all adds to the same thing.
I think that is a viable solution. I used to think that maybe not so much because it would make the game so long if everything is reviewed. However, number one, we've got this new rule that time is going to be added on for time wasting, substitutions, injuries, So we're extending the game anyway. And then why can't we do it like cricket? Why can't we do it like tennis? Why can't each manager have 3 challenges per match or 2 challenges per match and think, do you know what? I want that one reviewed properly, so that everyone can hear the communication and everyone can see it on the big screens. I know not all stadiums have got the big screens, but some of them have. And why can't that be the case? 2 challenges, maybe not 3, just to make it not too mad. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah. I think again in the NFL they have people actually up in the stands watching the game, and they're in communication with the coach. And if there's an incident or something's happened, straight away they say, "No, you need to challenge this. You need to challenge it straight away," because they have time to do. Obviously, they have time to do it because obviously there's breaks in play between each down or what have you. But they have someone whose specific job is there, and we've seen them on the side of the pitch with their iPads. in dugouts, and they're watching the game. So it won't be hard for them to employ someone to, pay them 30 grand a year to. I'll do it. We'll do it. We'll sit there and watch. Yeah. Wait, I'm first. CV's in tomorrow. But we'll all sit there and watch the game for any challenges, and you'll be able to say, look, challenge that. And like you said, Neil, maybe give them a challenge. If you don't win it, if you have a challenge a half, maybe, or something like that. And like in tennis, if you lose a challenge, that's it. Obviously, you might not get the one. So it stops any frivolous stuff and time wasting in that instance, because people will try and use that to sort of waste time or get an extra little team talking. But yeah, it needs to move with the times, man. I mean, talking about the way we are ref differently. I was listening to a podcast today, and Gary Lineker and Alan Shearer were on it, and they were talking about Arsenal, and they were saying about how someone asked a question: what was the team or the opposition that you hated to play against? And they both, to a man, said Arsenal, and they said they hated going to Highbury because of Tony Adams, Bowles, and Keown, and they used to talk to the referees before they went out, and they said, "Ref, you know what these guys are going to do? They're going to go right through me." So they were doing it even then. So they were trying to influence against us again. They said they're going to go right through me. You've got to get on it, otherwise, they're going to clatter me. And both of them were laughing and joking about it. I said, "Yeah, I did the same thing as well. Every time I went to Highbury, I had a little chat with the ref, and I said, look, Adams or whatever, they're going to go right through me. You've got to give them a yellow straight away." So they're saying it there, influencing. So it goes back. We knew they did it anyway.
Yeah,
they did it anyway, didn't they?
Saka needs to do it then. Saka needs to go to every ref and say.
But yeah, people were doing it all going back then. So going on to that. Onto Monday Night Football, obviously the coverage, Melvyn. Obviously they cut back to the studio, and Gary Neville obviously looked a bit upset, probably upset about his beloved Man United, or maybe sharing his studio with a female. I don't know what it was. He didn't look happy, and I wonder if he still doesn't get our strategy or get what we're doing in terms of our transfers. Maybe it's that. But he looked a bit like someone, pissed on his chips. And Carragher as well, we know what he's like when he's not spitting at people.
He probably spat at his chips. That's what he's upset.
Yeah, probably. It could be. Yeah, probably right. He's probably spot on. So yeah, when Carragher, he was saying, they just came out with this pretty much. Yeah, the referee was right. He didn't do anything wrong. Tomiyasu held it for, but what they didn't fail to mention is when you look at the replay of the throw-in, Tomiyasu's running up to get the ball. He's not walking. He's not tying his shoelaces. He's jogging up to get the ball. So he's not trying to waste time or anything. But yeah, you was gonna obviously give us some your thoughts about their
Monday Night Football. I mean, when I listened to Neville, I thought, am I living in another universe? He's supposed to be an expert. I haven't got a clue. I've got a pair of eyes and half a brain, and I could see what happened. But is he so biased that he's actually says, it was should have? He actually was a throwaway line, wasn't it? Oh yeah, well that was a second booking. Not why, where, or how.
Yeah, no one challenged it.
Yeah, and the strange thing was on Twitter today, someone put something up there, and I don't listen to TalkSport anymore for obvious reasons. I have got half a brain. They had Alan Brazil saying it's the worst sending off he's ever seen. Now, if Alan Brazil says that, and I don't think he's got a picture of Arsenal on a shirt on his bedroom wall, funnily enough, if he can say that, then I think we're the right side of it this time. We know we're the right side of it. But what I'm trying to say is, how can you have two ex-professional footballers seeing something completely different? It doesn't make sense. And also, you've got what you touched on it before, but I don't think you put one and one together to make two. You're saying that that they won't having a go at the referee. They will criticise the referees less now. Those two muppets, because they've had the head of the referees in their studio, and they're all pally now. Nothing's been said about you've got to look up. Be careful what you say, but they know They want to have a little bit of a laugh in the studio with each other, look like they're all chummy. So they can't give it all of that to referees. They're playing the game. Those two guys, Carragher and Neville, and that is why you won't get them unless something goes with Man United or Liverpool. Then the gloves are off. But any other team, most certainly Arsenal, they will just back the referee. It's like having another couple of refs saying, "Well, do you think the referee was wrong on that decision?" I've seen blatant decisions, and the ref goes, "No, nothing wrong at all." It's just like, well, I just give up. I actually give up. In fact, I was watching the game with my two sons the other night, and Jerome goes, "This is putting me off football now," and we won the game. Yeah, he said it's putting him off. It's so unfair, and we're not crybabies. We can take it. I've seen us get defeated so many times, and sometimes we deserved it. Sometimes we haven't. We've won games we should have won, but this it hits you in the core of your soul that these things are going on, and no one's saying anything. Yeah. You can't take Neville and Carragher seriously anymore. Not just because of this, but they've had previous as well. They're not serious people. To me, they remind me of now people that used to walk about in the high streets with sandwich saying the world is nigh, the world is nigh. That's what they are now. That's all they are. You don't take them, you might give them a nod, all right, mate? You just walk on by, you don't listen to what they're saying, you just get on with it, because that's all they are. And I try not to listen to. I turn down the commentary as well, because that puts me off. And at half time, I go and make myself a cup of tea, because I don't want to listen to it half time either. Even if you're winning, got no interest. I don't have to be told by them what is going on, because I've lost all respect for them. Years ago, I used to listen, because someone might say, "Oh, I didn't spot that," and it's all good. Yeah, I don't agree with that, but no, I can see what. But now, no respect, no interest. It's like me going to the supermarket and I ask somebody, "Excuse me, I don't know if you watched the game last night, but what do you reckon?" And they go, "Well, I didn't see it, but just tell me, what do you reckon?" It's a bit like that. So no, just lost all respect for them.
Yeah, it's true what you said about being pally with Howard Webb and PGMOL. That they've done a couple of shows where they've gone to Stockley Park. I think they did one recently. Right. They did one last season where they were giving duties as referees and see how they. So they're definitely in bed with them. And as you said, as soon as something big happens to United, I'm sure the penalty that they should have conceded against Wolves last week, I'm pretty sure Neville was pretty much didn't want to say anything about that. But 100%. They've always had it in for us, and they will continue to do so. So moving on, Neil. So yourself and Melvyn will be at the Emirates on Saturday against Fulham, minus Mitrovic, which is quite a touch, because he's a bit of a thorn in our sides the last couple of times we played against them. But what do you think of obviously the squad and the performance, and the some of the omissions? Obviously, people talk about Gabriel, and obviously your man Trossard, who's not had much minutes. Obviously, didn't come on the other night because of the card. And again, that's another way that decision has influenced Arteta's way he wants to finish the game off. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think we're going to stick with this system? We've seen Partey at right back, or do you think with maybe Zinchenko coming on with his little cameo, it will revert back to what it was last season, and then that will maybe see a little bit more fluidity to the way we play a bit more attacking verve at the moment, because it seems a little bit fragmented at the moment. I mean, the combinations aren't there between White and Saka, for example, because White isn't playing right back, and he's not got that little triangle with Odegaard who comes over there. But what's your thoughts on what's to come? Do you think he maybe should shuffle the deck a little bit, or do you think it's going to be pretty much the same?
Yeah, firstly, I agree. I don't think we have been fluid. I think this is chalk and cheese to the first two games of last season and the first two games of this season. I thought we were absolutely unbelievable start of last season. But I think I said it on another pod. I said, I'll take this 6 points out of 6, because I'd rather play like this now and peak later when it really matters. I think we peaked too soon last season. I really believe that, despite the injuries to Tomiyasu and Saliba later on, which obviously had a profound effect. But I think we also peaked too soon. So I don't mind as long as we get better. Just a quick mention, a player which I think is improving than I expected to, because he came into training late, is Rice. I thought he had an outstanding game and he got man of the match as a result of that. I thought Saliba is the same old Rolls Royce that he has been, that world-class tackle he made. So in terms of how it will look on Saturday, I think with that cameo from Zinchenko, who I thought looked sharp, as well as Jorginho actually when he came on to do a job. I thought he played really well. I can see it reverting back to what we were more used to last season. I think Zinchenko will become the inverted left back, and Partey will probably move back to his more traditional place. I've got a feeling, I don't know if he will do it, but I've got a feeling Havertz might sit this one out and come on as a sub, possibly. But I think we will go back to that usual, more hopefully fluid style of play. With Havertz, there is a player in him. I think he's a good player. We just got to be patient. He's got to get the Chelsea out of him. He's got to have the Leverkusen Havertz flowing through his veins. And I don't think, I've said it before, I do not think Edu and Arteta are stupid enough to get a player in for 65 million who think he's not going to do anything. I just can't believe it. I think, and Havertz actually hasn't done anything too wrong. If you look at what he's done, he hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been amazing. But he's still got to find his footing, I feel. So maybe coming on as a sub for a few games might be the answer for him. You're right, Michael. I so badly want to see Trossard feature. I think he's such a great player and I want to see him play. I know he'll play when we got Champions League, but I want to see him play now because he is a really good player. And the Gabriel omission, I found it really weird, even at Forest. I thought it was an injury while we were stuck outside the stadium. Then it happened again. We're like, okay, is there links with him leaving to this Saudi connection? I don't know. But then when he came on, and the emotion that I saw from him when he made that tackle, well, he doesn't want to leave this club. He loves it. And what a partnership he has got. What a relationship he has got with Saliba. We would be nuts to get rid of him. So I think he may feature as well. Yeah. I think he may feature as well. So I think it will be more of what we used to. However, I could be completely wrong. But I think Zinchenko might actually start on Saturday. Oh, and if you want me to suggest what the score will be, I think we'll win 3-0 and Rice will score first goal.
Nice one. Stick a fiver on that. I think I'll do that. You're pretty normally spot on, Neil. And Melvyn, do you think it's, touching on that, do you think it's Arteta maybe trying to formulate kind of a system, a different way of playing so that we can, again, one, be a little bit unpredictable, two, obviously dominate possession, and three, just find a different way of maybe not relying on certain individuals if we have the run of games and be in a position to challenge like we were, in April. It kind of fell apart when one or two individuals fell out, especially one, Saliba, and things kind of went to pot. Do you think it's a combination of that? And if so, do you think it's a bit kind of risky to do that this early in the season? Or is he just kind of following the sort of the template? Because that's kind of what happened with Pep last season with Haaland. The first couple of games at the start of the season, there was lots of trying things out. They weren't finding Haaland. They weren't fluid. And then they hit a wall and then they reset. They found a system and then they just went on. And obviously the rest is history. But what's your thoughts on his use of the squad so far and this new system? And do you think, is it another string to our bow, or do you think he'll revert to the system that we had last season? Or is it just a case of becoming really competent in both so we can just keep people guessing?
When you say keep people guessing, Michael, I think once you've changed the system and you play for 2 minutes, the other team know your system. I don't agree with all that. I'm sorry. Also, to pick up what Neil said, he's so right. We've waited 15, 20 years to have a back, two centre backs as good as these two that play together, that complement each other. Why split it up? Again, to me, doesn't make. I don't care if it makes the rest of the side slightly lopsided, which it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't make us weaker in any respect. But even if it did, I would still keep those two together. They're phenomenal. How many pairs of centre halves have we seen in the last 20 years? We've had to have our hands over our eyes. So that's number two. Number 3, I don't agree with playing Partey at right back. I think the manager possibly, and he's done very well, is overthinking it, because we know that if Partey plays against a decent left winger, he'll be struggling. He's all right playing it and coming inside and making up the midfield when we're attacking, got good possession, yeah. But if we're playing a team that counter-attack, I fear, as like we saw against Nottingham Forest in all fairness, but that showed up a little bit the last 15 minutes. I'm not sure what he will do, but I hope he will play the 2 centre-halves, Shevchenko on the left side, because when he came on, the game changed. With the guy from Chelsea that we bought, Jorginho, when he came on, it was a completely different game. We were playing the game in their half. We were playing like I know we said you defended well, but in all fairness, we were playing like a Hackney Marshes team when we had 10 men kicking it from a penalty area into the other half. I've never seen Arsenal do that before. I think I said it the other night. It's like we had 7 men on the pitch, not 10. And once those 2 players came on to make the difference, what a difference. We actually had the ball in their half. And that's the best way to defend. Let's face it. Not invite people on. Because one little touch, they had a couple of chances, Palace, and I didn't have many shots. But there was a couple of situations where had they just got their foot in and it got deflected, it would have been a goal. Then what do you do? So I don't agree with all that. That's what I would like to see on defensively. I just think Jorginho, underrated. He won't get a chance on Saturday because we're allegedly playing the team worse than us, and we've been looking. But going forward, he's quite good as well, funnily enough. Yeah. I haven't got a problem with him. If you have to not play Partey, as good as Partey is, if you have to play even at home, you want a solid guy there to break up the play and give the ball forward quickly. He's as good as anybody. All right, he's not as stylistic as got the style of Partey, but he gets the job done, in my opinion. I think he's a terrific player. He gives 100, well, they all give 100%, but he just, that his brain's thinking, he's a proper footballer, in my opinion.
He's got the know-how. Yeah, he's got the know-how.
Exactly.
He come on, as soon as he walked into that pitch, he was barking stuff.
There was a difference. There was difference. You saw the difference, Michael.
Yeah.
I love Emile Smith-Rowe, right?
Yeah.
How he couldn't get on that pitch in the first 2 games for 10 minutes, I don't know. Yeah. I think Trossard at home now, not so much. All right, there might be an argument, and I don't agree with it. I can understand people saying, but we're trying to defend a 1-goal lead, blah, blah, so you couldn't have brought him on. At home to Forest, he's got to get on that pitch for at least 30 minutes. He is a live wire. That's the way I say he's that type of player. That is exactly what he is. You cannot rest on your laurels with him. No defender can have a cigarette when he's around, because sometimes attackers allow them to have cigarettes. They're just not doing anything. This guy is terrific. He breaks all the laws of physics, in my opinion. He really is that good, and I don't want us to break him. I don't want Arteta to just forget about him. I think it's happening a little bit with Smith-Rowe, right? I think that's happening, but I don't want it to happen to him. For me, he's terrific. And Smith-Rowe, the pair of them, are one of the reasons you go and watch the Arsenal. They're the type of players I want to see wear the shirt and play for us. Yeah. So that's a mistake. Can we talk about Eddie? Sorry, Neil.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Just
go on, Neil.
End of last season, I said this season we better see more of Emile Smith-Rowe, Trossard, and Nelson. Nelson's not going to get.
Forgot about him. Right.
Nelson. We got Vieira as well, Melvyn. Don't forget about him.
True,
I mean, I'm sorry. For me, I don't understand. We're going to lose Trossard. I can see it. We'll lose him.
Don't say that.
No, but come on. If he's not going to play Melvyn, a player as good as him, do you blame him? I don't. And I can't understand how you cannot play a man of that talent in a team where he suits our game and vice versa. He's the perfect addition. And I'm sorry, if it means pushing, I've said it from ages, haven't I, Michael? If you don't want to lose Martinelli and Saka, then put Martinelli in the middle and put Trossard on the left. It will still work because we are so imbalanced. Our attacks are always on the right, or mostly on the right. Trossard will add that dimension on the left. As good as Martinelli is, and you know I love Martinelli, but I think Martinelli will also be effective in the middle. I really do. And Eddie, look, I know that will be at the expense of Eddie at the moment because Jesus isn't playing Melvyn. But I did, to be fair, he played well. He did play well. He was linking up well, and that amazing turn he did, and he was unlucky with that shot. Yeah, he could have done better with the chip one, but honestly, he did well. So fair play to him. Give credit where credit's due. But Trossard, Emile Smith Rowe, it's sacrilege. It really is.
Yeah, it's almost like everyone's talking about the Champions League. He's not going to rotate in the Champions League. He's to play his strongest team in the Champions League. So it's almost like the games that he would play those guys in, which would, for them, would be a step down, which would be the League Cup and the FA Cup. Those games are far away. They're not around the corner. So he's got to try and fit them in and get him some minutes. Even starts on Saturday, basically. But as you said, maybe taking Havertz out the line of fire, or maybe Eddie putting. You only got to look at what the three of them did last season when when Eddie got injured, because Eddie came in, didn't he? Scored a couple of goals, went off the boil a bit, got injured. Then Trossard came in, played up front, and him, Saka, and Martinelli didn't lose a game until Jesus came back, and then he came straight out of the team, and since then he's been. So yeah, he's a top draw. He's going to be sensational in the Champions League as well, because he's got that style, isn't he? He's got the technique. He's going to blossom in it. I think Jorginho will.
If he plays.
Well, if he plays, yeah, I think Jorginho will as well, because again, he's got that know-how. You imagine a European game away to some top team away from home defending the league, like maybe the other night with 11 men, and putting Jorginho on and just letting him control the game and seeing it out. That he's going to be vital in certain circumstances like that. But yeah, it's that's the only worry. I think he just needs to give people some more minutes. And I again, that's why I'm surprised Nelson signed his contract, because I don't know where he gets in. He gets any game time from, because he even got Vieira as well, who's had a good couple of weeks, and he's not featured either. But I guess that's the problem when you have a squad, and you want to have a squad that's got the levels to take us where we want to get to. You're going to have players that deserve to play. If you spin it back a year, or maybe a year and a bit ago, we weren't talking like this, were we at all? We didn't have the depth, but now we have, and we're kind of saying, well, you've got to get into play. But this is the thing. This is what City have done. This is what Guardiola's done for ages. People like Foden doesn't start for 3 or 4 games, and all of a sudden, bang, he's in. Mahrez, we saw. So they're clever boys. They know that if they want to get to where they want to get to, if they want to win the Champions League or win the Premier League, it's not going to be all on them. It's going to be a squad thing. It's going to be a team thing. And if he's getting that message across, where's Trossard going to go? That's better than what we have at the moment. He's probably going to maybe go to City. City probably don't want him. So he knows he's on a good thing. He looks like he's enjoying it. Any other thoughts, gents, on the game on Saturday? Melvyn, obviously you're going to be there.
Yeah, just one other thing is, I've said it before, but I hope, and it hasn't happened yet, that our manager makes changes after 60 minutes for 2 reasons: to give everyone a game that needs to get a game, like the Trossards of this world, Emile Smith Rowes of this world, so that they're not. You've got to play to keep fit. You can do all the running and training in the world. To get match fit, you've got to play matches, right? We know that. Yeah. And secondly, we are playing a very high intense game where it's non-stop running. Odegaard does an amazing amount of running, and some of the others do as well, especially the front 6. If they have to do it for 60 minutes, how good is that? Rather than do it for 80 or 90 minutes or 100 minutes now, the way it's going with the new rules. So I hope he does that. Let's hope he can change and see it, that it's not right for any footballer at that intensity, week in, week out, sometimes 3 games in a week, to play at that level. They just can't do it. And at the end of the last season and the season before, we paid the price. We don't have to pay the price this year. We've got the squad.
100%. So you're going for a comfortable win then?
I'm going for, well, first, the goal scorer I'm going for. First goal, Martinelli. It's about he's gotten, fancy he's going to get one. And I think we're going to win. I'm going to win. I'm not saying the same as Neil. I'm going to go 3-1.
3-1. Oh, we've got to get some clean sheets at home, man. That's one thing.
I know, but
we need to sort out as well. giving away these silly goals. We got to nip that in the bud, because if you look at our home form, our home record, 4 draws at home, I think we had as well. That's where it sort of the wheels kind of came off in that regard. So let's see what happens. As we said, good win, battling win. Obviously, we've upset a few people. Namely Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher and the usual mob, saying it was undeserved win and what have you. Apparently saying that they're looking at the stats and saying, look at the shots that the attempts on goal and things like that. But people don't watch the game properly anymore. They look at it through stats and don't see that was completely skewed when the referee influenced the game. And
it was okay when Gary Neville under Ferguson won loads of games that they didn't deserve. Yeah, that was okay.
Of course, it was. Of course.
Has it been cleared yet, Michael? Though, have they still? I know it's a bit late, but have they still given us that penalty, or they might change that?
I don't know. They took their time.
I mean, no, I'm saying they might tomorrow morning. They might change their mind. I hope they don't. I hope they let us have it, because we needed that for the 1-0 win.
I'll tell you. I'll admit. I thought they were gonna when they showed Partey. They kept on showing that replay of Partey blocking. And if you noticed, the replay they showed was the one that made it look like he was going to get close to Eddie. They didn't show the one from above.
Nowhere near. It
showed you he's nowhere near it. The one they kept showing was the one from behind the goal. So it looked like he was close. Again, amazing. Absolutely amazing. I've said to Neil, and he said it a few times. I think I tweeted it. We have to beat 2 teams every time we play a game. Position, and we've got to beat the officials as well. And it's always going to be the case, unfortunately.
Michael, what's your prediction? Because we've done it, so you might as well.
I'm going to go 4-0. I think 4-0. And I'll
turn it to me.
Yeah, I'll go 4-0, and I'll have to go Saka again. Saka. I think Saka will score. I just think that the attacking is not that they're not that dangerous because of Mitrovic, because he was just such a threat, such a big unit, big bloody big lump. But I knew where the goal was, and I think they might struggle now because I don't think they've got anyone in to replace him as yet. We should. Maybe this will be the game where we sort of light the fire a little bit and score a few goals.
They should buy Balogun for 70 million. Be a good deal.
Yeah. Well, as long as we don't sell him tonight and he comes back to play against us and scores against us,
No, after we've beaten them 4-0, then we can sell him.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to sell Tierney before Saturday? I'm talking about Paul Tierney, the referee.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a good move for us. I don't care what money we get.
Yeah,
that's what I like to do.
He's the referee Saturday. They're all terrible. I had someone on Twitter the other day saying, I think Michael Oliver's the best referee they've got. And so, what, Michael Oliver, the one who done that magic trick, two yellow cards in 30 seconds, against Martinelli, that one. He's the best referee we got. Do me a favour.
How low is the bar? How low is that bar?
Yeah, they're all useless. They're all useless. And they don't help themselves either. But we'll leave it as that. Melvyn, thank you. A brilliant debut. I thought I'd give you the full run out. The full. Look, there we go. Look, we're going to 60 minutes, mate. You said 60 minutes, and I'm going to sub you off now.
You didn't take me off. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Get in that ice bath, mate, and recover. Well, thanks for your time, man. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you. I really, obviously, enjoyed it so much. Thank you. Thank you
first of many appearances. So you got your first cap. I think this is Neil's 30th cap. I think.
He needs to buy another wardrobe.
Yeah. He's already got a shirt hanging up there. So He's got about 60 caps anyway. He's always wearing a different one whenever he comes on the show.
I've got quite a few.
So, Neil, thanks for coming on again, man. I really appreciate it as well.
Thank you.
A pleasure. Thanks for all the support that you've both given me with the show ever since it launched, and thanks for everyone watching. You can watch this obviously on YouTube, catch it on Spotify, Acast, Anchor. And really appreciate all the support. Let's hope we have another memorable season. It was one last year. good and bad. And let's hope we just go one step more this time round. So, gents, thank you very much. I know it's pretty late in the evening, but I'll leave you to your own devices. And this will be out as soon as I can. And all that's left to say is up the Arsenal. Come on, you Reds.
Man, remember. Giroud into the box. And they